Welcome back everybody to another episode of Dark Souls 2. Today taking care of some side things. Of course, last time I said that we're not going to do the final boss just yet. I could do it. As you can see, I do have the Giant's Kinship right here. I could now go to the Throne of Want and defeat the game, just be done with it. But that's not really what I want to do. I want to first of all do some optional stuff. Want to do all the things that I missed, so some bosses that I didn't get to, some Covenant related stuff, just all kinds of weird little side things that I can still think of, and only then I will go and finish the game, defeat the final boss, and be done with it. So let's maybe start off by talking a little bit about what I'm doing right here. So as you can see, Kale is actually now with me in the mansion in Majula. I previously did not have him unlocked. Now I went ahead, talked to him again in the Forest of the Fallen Giants, unlocked him for myself. He's now here in the mansion in Majula and is now available for me. Basically, the only reason why I did it is so I could get a trophy after defeating the final boss. You can then go back to Kale, talk to him, and you will unlock one for completing the map, which is certainly what you have done at that point. So that is basically the main reason for me. He does also talk a little bit about some side stuff, I guess, some background stories on Creighton actually. So the guy that we killed in the Brightstone Cove, the guy that was fighting Patches, who we also killed. So he, I believe, talks a little bit about he's some kind of infamous killer, at least. He looks very similar to one or something like that is, I believe, what he's saying. So that's pretty neat. Nothing too important right now. I mean, I already could have unlocked all of this in the 4th episode or something like that of this series. So certainly something we're a little bit late on, I guess I would have to admit. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted to show this off right here real quick that we now have done this, have this available for us. I'm now going to be able to get the trophy and be happier. Right, so anyway, let's talk a little bit about the meat of this episode, what we are going to be taking care of today in this episode right here. So, I want to go back to the Iron Keep and do some optional things right there. We picked up the petrified egg that you might remember. That was very much in the Dragon Shrine, in that room that looked very similar to the room that you also fight Old King Doran in Demon Souls. So you might remember that whole scenario, a phantom, a shrine, an egg that we picked up, and now you can take that egg to Magarold in the Iron Keep, the little merchant there, give it to him, and he's going to allow you to enter another covenant right here. Also a covenant that I've never entered. I also, for that same reason, don't really know all the details connected to that covenant. It's a dragon covenant, though, as you can probably already guess. Don't really know what all of that means, so yeah, I just haven't really spent all that much time with that covenant just yet. I would imagine that it's very similar to the one found in Dark Souls, but don't really 100% quote me on that one. Anyway, another thing that I probably should stress right here is the fact that all of these upcoming episodes are probably going to be quite scattershot in their nature. I don't really exactly know how to now tie all of these up into neat little packages that are going to make sense. So, yeah, I mean, I'm probably just going to end up going wherever I can think of. So, if I'm just playing the game and thinking, oh, maybe that's something I could do right now, I'm probably just going to go ahead and do it and not really pay too much attention to what is going to thematically make sense for this episode, which is totally something I did for these previous episodes. But now all the ones leading up to the final one are probably going to be quite scattershot, as I was saying. So anyway, what else is there to talk about? There's quite a bit to talk about, and also that whole bit that I need to talk about is the very reason why I'm now doing post-commentary for this as well, because stuff has been announced. A lot of stuff has been announced in between me recording this gameplay footage and now me sitting here and talking over it. Because, yeah, Dark Souls 2 DLC was detailed. I don't know why I paused there for a second. I don't know if that even came across, but for me it seemed like I paused there for a good second or two. Anyway, so, yeah, Dark Souls 2 DLC has been detailed. It's supposedly coming out end of July, and there's a total of 3 packages for that. They decided to split it up and do it that way. It's called the Lost Crowns, and it's totally something I'm going to cover on this channel. I mean, you already kind of probably figured that out for yourself. I like to cover everything Dark Souls and Demon Souls on here, so that is totally something I'm gonna do as well. Anyway, what does that mean for you? Well, it means if you're watching this like as it comes out or on the day it came out, that means, yeah, just pay attention to the videos that I upload to the channel and find those whenever the DLC is then out and I then put out the episodes. What it means if you're from the future, and whoa, I know it's crazy, but if you are from the future, just check the playlist and maybe you can already find the DLC content right there. So that's pretty neat. I'm really excited for that. Maybe I shouldn't really talk about it too much, about all the stuff that I think about it right here just yet, just because that way I would date it quite a bit, the whole episode right here. So let's maybe just stop with all of that. I just wanted to point out that that is totally something I'm interested in and doing. So, right, what else is there? Not too much. So we talked to Magrold, we did all of that as you might have seen there. I didn't really focus on it too much, but yeah, I unlocked the trophy, I gave the egg to him, and I entered his covenant. And I mean, that's also how I unlocked the trophy, but yeah, that is totally how that went down. Pretty excited about that. I'm not really gonna go ahead and show off too much when it comes to this Dragon Remnants Covenant, as I believe it's called. Much rather, since I'm here, I'm now gonna focus on the fact that Smelter is still alive and needs to be killed. That dude is a optional boss in the Iron Keep. I probably already talked about him quite a bit in previous episodes, but yeah, today is finally the day that I'm taking my time with him, sitting down, trying to beat his ass, and have some fun with that. Fun is pretty hard to have when fighting the guy, though. I need to stress that I really kind of don't like the boss fight myself. There's just some little gimmick connected to it that makes it feel a little to me at least. Because the gimmick about him, I don't know if I should spoil it already right here, but chances are that you've played Dark Souls 2 yourself before and already know what Smelter is like. So, the gimmick connected to the upcoming boss fight is that he is hot. He's really hot, and I don't mean that in like a, I don't know, way in which I'm saying that I'm attracted to him or anything like that. Instead, he's just like physically very much hot. There's a lot of heat surrounding him. He's freaking burning, essentially. And of course, the burning inflicts a lot of flame damage onto you. And that sucks because that is happening constantly. Like, there's not a single point in the boss fight where you're not going to be taking damage, you could almost say. And he even upgrades that flame as well. So it keeps getting stronger, you keep getting burned more and more. And that is kind of the gimmick connected to that. Other than that, he's a pretty standard, I'm just a tall guy wielding a sword fight. So yeah, those are the reasons why I don't like it too much, right? It's kind of samey in a sense, and then the one thing that sets it apart isn't really that great of a thing either. So whatever, we're gonna go ahead and do it. I find him to be very difficult. Should also stress that, and that's also the reason why I'm now doing it and didn't do it when we first went through the Iron Keep. I just feel like this is now going to be a lot more enjoyable, and then yeah, going here the first time and then fighting the Smelter demon already, wow, that is, if you go ahead and do that every time that you play through the game, I mean, respect, because I couldn't. I wouldn't have the just patience to do that, because this is very much another one of those fights where you need a lot of patience, just because you need to tweak things in between, almost. At least whenever I do it, I always have to do that. I always have to kind of get a ring that allows me to have some more flame defense. I need to equip orange burrs, which, as you can see, I don't have any of right now, but we're taking care of that a little bit later, not to spoil anything. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can tweak for this fight. I kind of like that aspect of it, because you kind of have to take a look at, okay, how am I gonna make myself able to survive this? And yeah, that is just something that I kind of like, because it kind of just adds a nice little layer of depth to the whole fight. Then again, the fight itself isn't really all that interesting and fun. So as you can see, Lucatiel is once again very close to suiciding here as well. She, for whatever reason, once again decided to step at the very edge. She's like essentially 1 pixel away from just suiciding off the edge yet again. You've done it before, man, or woman, whatever. And I was really scared right here. I was so afraid that she was just gonna fall down and I would have to do Smelter on my own. Well, let me go ahead and tell you that she didn't fall down, but I still had to do Smelter on my own, because as you can see right now, once I'm going through the mist, the fog gate right here, entering the boss fight, she's just not gonna follow through. She's not gonna come help me. The health bar is still there, as you can see. It's still on the left, above my like item hotbar kind of thing. But I don't know what happened to her, because seemingly she did not fall down. That would have given me like a vanish message. She just, for whatever reason, decided to not help me at all. Instead, just, for all that I know, stand there and dick around or something like that. I don't know. I'm not happy with it, but then again, as I've probably already spoiled a little bit earlier, this is also not going to be the final attempt right here. This is not going to be me defeating the Smelter Demon, unfortunately. I just did not have the Flame Ring equipped, as I was saying. We don't even have it yet. I also have not equipped one of those orange burrs, or at least like made use of one. So this is probably the worst I could have entered the fight. Then again, I was kind of betting on Lucatiel, and she also kind of just bailed on me. So this is not really the best ever. Not the best odds ever, and we are probably gonna die rather quickly. So as you can see, what he does is always like stab himself almost, and thus increase his flame power stuff. Just that he sends out from his like belly region, like tummy region, to put it in like the worst way possible. But yeah, he always does passive fire damage. His other attacks are pretty standard. I mean, once he then kind of upgrades himself a little bit, he's then also doing more fire damage with his melee attacks, so that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, you can kind of, I don't know, counteract all of that using a lot of flame defense stuff, which is totally what I'm gonna go ahead and take care of right now. I believe I'm still gonna go back to Magrol, because for whatever reason I was thinking that he was the one selling the flame ring and the orange bursts and stuff like that, but that is not the case. In fact, you have to go back to Majula and talk to the pyromancy lady. I forget her name. It's something with M, right? It's not Melentia, that's the old hag. It's instead the other one. The one that you also unpetrify when you're going to the, what's it called? The Shaded Woods. So the one that's petrified there at that whole lever section. Talk to her by the flame quartz ring, giving you frame resistance. No, I wish, but flame resistance instead. And also buy a few of the orange burrs, because they also increase your fire defense. All of that pretty good. That is something I'm gonna do like in a cut, I believe. I set it up that way that you're not gonna have to look at all of that, but I still kept the old Magrol bit just to show off that that is not where you get it. I, for whatever reason, was thinking that, but no, you have to go back to Majula and only then take care of things that way. So yeah, also what I should probably stress right here is that I did not at all expect this episode to go this way. I didn't really have too much of a plan going into this, and I only then decided to kind of do the Smelter Demon since I was already in the Iron Keep. Initially, I kind of planned to maybe kind of get started on the Ancient Dragon a little bit more. That is still something that I need to do, and also something that I need to do rather soon. And the reason for that is that by doing the Ancient Dragon, you actually get a hold of a new Giant Soul, Giant Soul, very similar to the ones that we picked up in the Giant Memories. And of course those, as I already mentioned, you need for King Vendrake, or at least in order to make King Vendrake a little bit easier on yourself. So Ancient Dragon certainly has to happen before King Vendrake. So we're doing that. And then there's some other stuff as well that we could do before we then challenge King Vendrake, just because there's one additional Giant Soul, I believe, down in the Black Gulch that you can also get. And then doing that is going to unlock another Covenant, so there's all kinds of stuff, and also very much the reason why I said that this was all going to be a little bit scattershot, because it's so broad right now. There's so many things we could do right now. I just don't know how to put it all into one episode that makes sense. But I guess I kind of did that with this episode. We took care of all the, or are still about to take care of all the optional things left in the Iron Keep. So I took care of the whole Dragon Remnants Covenant in the beginning, and now still in the midst of taking care of the Smelter Demon. So here's attempt number 2. Now, as you can see, I have Orange Burr equipped, or used, or whatever you want to call that. I have the Flame Quartz Ring equipped as well. I also went ahead and equipped some other armor. It's like some of those Alon Knight stuff, which has, as you can probably tell, fantastic fire defense. It's probably the highest that I had, and that of course is amazing now, because we take less damage from him, and that is good. Other than that, I mean, our damage output is still the same. Only now we of course also have Lucadale helping us, so that should be kind of neat. Going into this episode, I actually did not expect Lucadale to do all this well. From what I could remember, it was just always her dying very quickly to the Smelter Demon. I don't know what now changes it, because she did not die once in this whole recording. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what now changed all of this. I don't know why she's now doing so much better than she was previously in my playthrough so far. So that's pretty neat. I'm a big fan of that. That just means that I'm gonna have like way more additional damage just because she stays alive. And also, I guess, if I still was worried about getting her through the quest line and finishing all of that, that would be a nice thing as well. So maybe they patched it. From all I know, they maybe went ahead and patched it. Or I could just have better equipment. Maybe that's already it. Maybe I'm just not seeing her die that quickly because I'm already inflicting a lot of damage as it is. So I really couldn't tell you. All I know is that I died again just because I was a little careless right there. And that now means that we are once again fast forwarding a little bit here, going back to the Smelter Demon and then challenging him a third, and let me already tell you, final time. And this time also once again going to use a human effigy, once again going to summon Lucatiel and use a orange burr, all that kind of stuff. So it's basically the same scenario as last attempt, as the second attempt. Only now I'm going to try and be a little bit more careful with everything, because previously I wasn't really taking my time too much, right? It's another one of those fights where I would say that patience is certainly a virtue. You wanna, I don't know, take your time with it. Step back a little bit, block a little bit more than I was initially doing. I was really getting rid of my stamina way too quickly. Much rather kind of try to keep it up a little bit and only hit whenever he's out, maybe attacking Lucadale or something like that. Like in some kind of animation, you might even get some additional damage that way, and that is totally going to be the strategy that I'm applying right here in this third attempt with the Smelter Demon. So probably the most dangerous stuff that he does is probably the shockwave attack, right? The one that he now just did, conveniently enough. Where he stabs his sword into the ground and does this whole area of effect shockwave. That is like the most dangerous one, because especially if your stamina is low, that is going to take off quite a bit. Pretty easy to prevent, like being hit by all of that though. To avoid being hit, I maybe should say. Just because if you step back, as I was saying a little bit earlier, you're just gonna have a better time with all of this. So, Smelter Demon is going to be taken care of right here. I'm very, very happy about that. This is a boss I've always, I don't know, just skipped on. Whenever I then hit the option to do him, I was like, no, we're not doing that. And that is now pretty neat that we're taking care of him right here. That means we won't have to worry about him ever again. I really dislike it, as I was saying, so that is good. What other bosses are there still in the game that we need to take care of before we then finish the game and challenge the final boss? So, Smelter is now done, essentially. Then there's the... well, what's it called even? Is it the Executioner's Chariot, I believe, in the Undead Purgatory? A side area to the Huntsman's Copse that we haven't done yet. So that is the second one. Then, of course, there's the Ancient Dragon that we still need to do. There is King Vendrick that we still need to do, and also a Covenant-related boss as well, which I don't know if I should spoil yet, so let's maybe skip on that for now. But yeah, those four essentially, right? Executioner's Chariot, King Vendrick, Ancient Dragon, and then the optional Covenant boss that we still need to do. So all of those things, really exciting. All of those things are what we're going to do before we then end the series, final boss and stuff like that. But alright, Smelter is taken care of. I do kind of want to apologize for the fact that I'm really like doing post-commentary in the truest sense of the word. I'm not really talking about the actual gameplay too much. But then again, it's fairly standard, run-of-the-mill Dark Souls gameplay anyway. It's not like I'm showing off freaking mind-blowing stuff left and right here. So hopefully you guys are okay with that. Defeating the Smelter Demon is going to allow you to access a second bonfire, or like a third one depending on how you want to look at it, in the Iron Keep right here. It's a pretty convenient one, I would say. Then again, kind of looking at how difficult the fight is when you first enter the Iron Keep and how useful the bonfire then is for you, I probably still wouldn't challenge the Smelter Demon first time going through the Iron Keep, just because he's pretty difficult if you're not leveled up and if you don't have a strong weapon. Because I mean, I already had a hard time right now, and I have like maybe 50 more levels on myself. So yeah, Smelter Demon, certainly one of the most difficult fights in my opinion, at least. It's not like it's the most difficult one at all, but he's high up there. He's like in the top, I don't know, 5 maybe. Maybe not 5, maybe like 6 or 7, but it doesn't really matter. All that matters right now is, yes, we are totally fighting the Pursuer again. He actually challenges you in the Smelter boss room after defeating the Smelter himself. And that now means that you can kill him again. I believe it's going to give you another ring of, what's it called even? The Ring of Blades, the one that he gives you that kind of like increases attack damage, I don't know, something like that. Physical damage that you are outputting, something like that. And yeah, you can challenge him a second time right here. There's actually a third time that you can challenge him as well. That is only in New Game Plus though, in the throne room in Dragonlight Castle. So the one right behind, what's his name? Welliger, is that his name? The ghost guy in the beginning of the castle. Right behind him there's that throne room, and if you enter that in New Game Plus, 2 Pursuers are actually going to appear. So I guess in a sense there's 4 like fights against him. But of course, all of that being in New Game Plus, we're not doing it in this playthrough. I could use a bonfire aesthetic, I guess, but there's no fun connected to that. So let's much rather skip on it. Instead, just let you know that that is another chance for you to fight the Pursuer, or 2 at the same time, as a matter of fact. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't necessarily like the Pursuer fight all that much, just because I guess I would be okay with him if there weren't so many of these I'm a guy with a sword fights, right? There's a lot of these circle strafing fights, and I believe I already talked about this when I initially did the Pursuer for the first time. I'm always circle strafing with this, and there's a lot of enemies in the game that are very much going down like this. You just circle strafing, attacking whenever he's attacking himself, and not hitting you. Probably also when he's not hitting you, yeah. And that is just something I don't feel all that positively about. I don't know. Yeah, that's basically all I can say when it comes to that. Fighting the Pursuer a second time is fine. I mean, it makes sense. He's called the Pursuer. I, for the longest time, did not know that you could actually fight him a second and third time. But then finding that out, I kind of went, yeah, that makes sense. He's called the Pursuer, so he should probably challenge you a little bit more often. It's still kind of strange that it is optional the way it is, right? It's very optional. You, for the most part, are gonna miss out on the second fight. I didn't know about it for the longest time, and probably a few of you watching right now didn't know about this either. But it's kind of weird because he is behind a optional boss fight. So he's an optional boss fight behind an optional boss fight, which I don't think is the way I would have done it if I had gone out and designed the second Dark Souls. Just because, I mean, he's called the Pursuer. He should pursue you. He should be kind of like the thing bugging you every once in a while. At least, I don't know. It might have been neat like that. But the way it is right now, he's not too much of a pursuer. He's like a little obstacle in the beginning or something like that. But anyway, maybe that's just me nitpicking a little bit too much here. You can fight him a second time. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. I went ahead and I believe equipped the physical defense ring. I always forget the freaking actual names, but hopefully you know what I mean. And I'm giving this whole thing a second shot. Now, of course, just trying to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to the stamina, and trying to not get hit as much as the first time. So probably the best strategy for him, and that was totally also the case with the first time that we fought him, is just circle strafing, waiting for his like dash attack. That's probably the best chance that you're gonna get. So whenever he does that, just try to hit him once or twice in the back and not do what I am doing right now. I thought I was gonna be smart by like walking up the staircase and healing up a bit, but yeah, he then leaves actually. So he's also not coming back. I would imagine that you're now gonna have to just rest at a bonfire, and he's gonna be back then. But I, at this point, was just really pissed. I didn't feel like doing it again. So in fact, we're not defeating the Pursuer in his second little fight right here, just because I don't really give a shit too much. He's just gonna give you a upgraded ring, I believe. And while that is certainly a good ring, don't get me wrong, I don't want to fucking fight the Pursuer again. I think we're fine with everything that we got going for us right now. Let's instead teleport back to Majula and kind of, yeah, conclude this episode almost already. So, not the crazy content-packed episode that I was expecting it to be. As I was saying already a little bit earlier, I kind of thought I was going to maybe get started on the Ancient Dragon a little bit more. But I feel like doing it this way is going to like tie it up in like a neat package. It's going to be the optional stuff that you can do in the Iron Keep before then challenging the final boss. So Smelter Demon we took care of, the freaking Dragon Remnants Covenant we took care of, and also I guess Pursuer we took care of in some sense. We didn't defeat him, but at least spent some time with him again, and had a decent time with that, I guess. So anyway, guys, I do want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed the post-commentary, despite the fact that it was maybe a little bit unfocused, or whatever you want to call it. Didn't really go into detail on the gameplay too much. But yeah, those are all the optional things that I now decided to take care of in the Iron Keep. Next time, we're going to get started on some of the other bosses that I listed a little bit earlier. So that is going to be all kinds of exciting, as I was already also mentioning in like the beginning of the episode. DLC is totally coming. I'm very happy about that. We're totally going to cover that on the channel, so also pay attention to that. And yeah, with all of that out of the way, I guess we're just going to now finish it right here. wish you a very fantastic evening, and hopefully you're going to tune in for the next episode. So guys, goodbye. Have a good one.